Many of the dinosaur fossils disclosed to the public are specimens that are of relatively large animals compared to any animal that exists today, but they really are not too much bigger than the blue whale. So, the size of the fossils they present to us are large enough and small enough to keep people sane. One of the things that I've noticed is that there is evidence all around us of the prehistoric world of giants and dragons. And because this is a very big world, for one person there seems to be no end to what you will find here when you are looking for it. In the Bungkham province of Thailand, there is a cave, the Naka Cave. This is right near the border of Thailand and Laos. And the very first thing that you notice, or that I noticed when viewing photographs of this place, is the snake. What is this? Is this a natural formation which includes the head of a serpent? Or is this just an ancient sculpture? Or are we just looking at another example of petrified giant remains? You know, if you can't explain this away with geology, your next best guess would be that there was some great artist that put a lot of work into this piece, or masterpiece, I should say. But who said it was art? If it was carved into the rocks, then I'm sure the locals would have some knowledge of that, but many of the locals believe that this was once a real snake, a serpent titan, the Naka dragon. This giant snake rock in Thailand is a fascination of many. Is it an actual fossil? Naka Cave itself is reportedly home to several myths and legends, many of them imagined due to a part of the cave that looks strangely like a serpent. There is a specific stone slab that resembles a python's head, while giant rocks with scaly texture look as if they are the snake's coiling body. In Buddhist lore, the giant snake rock takes after the mythological snake called Naga. A Naga is said to be half human and half snake, dwelling in the netherworld and occasionally taking the form of a human. Legend has it that the Mekong River in northeastern Thailand and Laos was actually created by two Naga kings, slithering in the area that's now part of the Phu Lanka National Park. If we were to stay faithful to the legends of lore, then just maybe the snake rock might have been one of the Naga kings resigned to a long slumber. Now, some people speculate that this is actually the petrified remains of a Titanoboa, which is an extinct species of snake that may have lived during the Pliocene epoch. A snake that could grow to 50 feet long, weighing 2,500 pounds. Now, according to the quacks of the Phu Lanka National Park, there is nothing to see here. Just some 100,000-year-old sun-cracked rocks, weathered by water erosion to give it that snake-like texture. That's all. By the way, this is a fairly new find. It was just discovered in 2020. So I imagine that there is still not a whole lot known about this site. But even though information on the cave may be limited, how come, like many of these other sites around the world where there is some sort of petrified giant, there is an ancient story to go along with it? I mean, you can take your pick. There is the story about Buddha and the serpent. There is the story about Shiva and the giant snake King Vishuki. There is even Native American Indian myths about the serpent and the mountain, how it coiled itself around the mountain, The story goes that the slow-moving great snake was awakened by lightning from a great storm. The lightning was so terrible it frightened the snake into lashing out at the mountain, wrapping itself around it as it erupted, injuring and killing the snake. There is a bit more to that story, but you get the idea. So, the Naka Cave, well, first, it's not really a cave system, but a series of crevasses. And there is video footage of this available online. It's very hard to tell from the footage, but you can't really get a drone shot of the area to see the whole thing for what it is. And as far as I know, no one has mapped out this cave to get a visual, but from the footage you can see that there is something very unusual about the rock faces and the snakeskin-like texturing. Not to mention that the rocks curve as if a giant snake had coiled up. To top it off, we have these rocks, 3 photographs of these rocks that look like the head of a serpent with the same scaly texture. One of these heads is actually located in Laos. One of them looks like a serpent's head from the side, but is actually a rectangular slab. And then there is one with less definable features, but yet it still has that shape. Now, from what I understand, as the cave was opened for people to visit, more and more of these rocks that look like part of a snake's body were discovered, and they ultimately closed off access to the cave. So, no more exploring that. Something else interesting is here. Just about 1 hour away from this site is what's known as the Three Whale Rock in Thailand, which resemble 3 giant sperm whales, the father, the mother, and the baby. Aside from identifying the rock as sandstone, scientists cannot explain this. The formation is completely out of place. Some would say it's an anticline, but they really do not resemble rocks that have been pushed up from beneath the surface. Some may think that these are yardangs, which would be a good guess and make sense, but again, the location is not right, and the weathering of the smooth surface on top of these rocks is very hard to explain by itself. Some think it's chemical weathering. There are all types of theories that have been suggested. And scientists either just say they can't explain it, or they attempt to explain it away as a natural occurrence, like the sphere-shaped boulders found on the beaches of Moraki, New Zealand, or the ones found in Costa Rica. The scientific explanation is that these were formed on the floor of the seabed millions of years ago, when something organic like a piece of wood or seashell that started to form lime crystals around it to create the sphere or concretion. And then the seabed was uplifted to form the coastal cliffs, and as those cliffs eroded, they left behind these stones. The problem is it doesn't necessarily work for what we're looking at. I think it's BS. Do you want to know why? Because I've seen these boulders before. Or actually, I've seen stones that look just like these boulders. Can you guess where I've seen them? Spherical stones that look just like this, all grouped together in the same manner. Maybe you've seen them before but just forgot. They're called fossilized dinosaur eggs. Now, all of a sudden, do these stone spheres make sense? This is why some of these boulders look like the hatchling escaped the egg before it was fossilized, but the others didn't make it, just like you would see with a group or a clutch of dinosaur egg fossils. I mean, could it be any more obvious? Do we really have to play games with geologists when we should probably be asking paleontologists? Look, this is a dinosaur egg from the same Paleocene time period as those boulders. They both have the same type of minerals, calcite with some quartz in there. Folks, think about it. What animal swims up on shore lays almost perfectly round eggs on the shore, buries them in the sand, and then leaves. A sea turtle. Now, the largest sea turtle known would be the Archelion ischiros. And the largest skeleton that was found of this species was 13 feet by 16 feet, flipper to flipper. Of course, I believe there needs to have existed something quite larger to lay these eggs. Many people are already familiar with the Greek mythology of a giant island-sized sea turtle, the Aspidokleon. You see, there's almost always a story or some legend or myth surrounding this very idea of the ancient world of Titans. Ancient mythology seems more like ancient history in the world of petrified giants. There is more to come, friends, so please stay tuned. I want to thank all of my supporters and Level 1 members of WoodwardEntertainment.com. Woodward TV is now available on Rumble. You can follow me on Instagram at JAEWoodward. More on the world of giants and dragons coming soon. Until then, stay awake, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
And start my tongue.